Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in the last couple of clips you've seen my 450 horsepower Audi S3, and in today's video we're going to change the brakes. Let's go! So today I took delivery of these new Brembo rotors for the front and for the rear. And I also took delivery of these new Brembo brake pads. These are for the front and these are for the rear. For the discs I went with the Xtra line. So these basically have drilled rotors. And drilled rotors are actually better for heat and water dissipation. But they do have disadvantages. And one of those disadvantages is that the wear on your brake pads may actually increase over time. And that has to do with these little holes. Whenever these sharpen up, the brake pads will wear out a little bit faster. And that also translates to more brake dust. So that was something I wanted to tell you, but if you don't care, well, then just stick with these because these look pretty good. And always keep in mind, whenever you buy new brake rotors, they are covered with a protective film. And these usually stops them from rusting or corrosion, I may say, whenever they are being shipped or stored. So always clean this thoroughly with brake cleaner, because otherwise your brakes will brake poorly. And that's not what you want, of course, when installing new brakes. And if you wonder why I got these in the Xtra line, so the front and the rear brake discs, as well as the front brake pads, that's because I couldn't get the rear brake pads in the Xtra line, only premium line. And the Xtra line is a little bit better. But yeah, I think it's not going to make that much of a difference. Since 70% of the stopping power is coming from the front brake pads, I really don't mind. And we'll see. If these are not that good, we're going to replace them. But for now, I think they should do fine. So now that you have seen my new Brembo setup, let's head over to the car and get everything installed. Hey guys, so today we're going to change the brakes on the Audi S3. As you can see, they are a little bit worn. They're also a little bit warped. At higher speeds, there's a little bit of a vibration in the steering wheel. So that's something we're trying to fix also when replacing the brakes. First of all, I've laid down some equipment as well as the new brake rotors for the front. These are 340mm brake discs, as well as the rear brake rotors, and these are 310mm in diameter. So I've talked about earlier, these are the Xtra line, these are for the front, and for the rear I couldn't get them, so I went with the prime ones. To start off, we're first going to loosen up the lock nuts. After that, we're going to jack up the car, and after that we will remove the wheel and start removing the brake discs and the brake caliper. So let's start with removing the lock nut. There's a safety nut over here. We're going to remove that first. All of these nuts are loosened up. They were pretty tight, so when assembling the wheel again, we're going to make sure these are torqued to spec correctly. So the next step will be to jack up the car. Let's jack up the car and make sure we are on a correct jack point. To place these jack stands underneath. Then we will lower the car as soon as we did the front one. Front one I placed underneath over there. We have the jack stands positioned under the car correctly. We're also going to leave this underneath the car as an extra safety. So now we will remove the lock nuts. So the next step I like to do is remove the torque screw first. So this is a T30. and these actually come new in the Brembo kit. So the next step would be remove these two metric bolts. So this is a 13 mil. To loosen up this 13 mil bolt, there's a counter bolt over there that's a 17 millimeters. So now we have removed the bolts. As you can see, there's play on the brake caliper. So now we can remove the brake caliper, and after that remove the brake caliper bracket. So now that we have loosened up the brake caliper, we make sure to hang it up. And that's because we don't want to damage the brake line. Because if it hangs by itself, the weight can damage the brake line. This way we make sure that the caliper is out of the way. And the next step will be to remove the brake pads. So the first one is out. So let's take off the plug. And now we can remove the rear brake pad. And as you can see, they have cracked. You can see a thin hairline over here and a thin hairline over there. So it's probably a good call to replace these. So now we have removed the brake pads and disconnected the sensor. We're going to remove caliper stay or caliper bracket. And these are bolted down with two 21 millimeter nuts. So one is up here, as you can see, and the other one is down below. And now that we've removed both bolts, we can take off the bracket. Let's slide it off. So now we need to remove the brake rotor. And as you can see, we already removed this screw. There was a T30. And as you can see, there's no thread in these holes. Some brake discs actually have thread in there. So you drive a bolt to it and then it will function as a jack bolt. This one doesn't have that, so what we're going to do, because this one sticks, I already saw that, we're going to thread this one in. And we're going to hammer it with a block of wood. Then it breaks loose and we can take the brake disc off. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of wear on the brake rotor. You can actually feel it. It's not flat and there's quite a big lip over here. So it was probably a good idea to change the brake rotors anyway. You can see the brake rotor just fell right off. Now we're going to clean up the heat shield and clean up this part. And whenever we're finished, we're going to put a little bit of grease over here. And that's just to make sure that it won't stick the next time. And I'm going to use this drill with a wire brush to clean this up. One thing to keep in mind, whenever doing this kind of job of cleaning, there will be a lot of dust coming off this, so it's probably a good idea to wear a mask and safety glasses, because a lot of pieces like rust can fly out, so that's something to protect yourself. As you can see, it already looks a lot better. So now we're going to drive the piston back into the caliper. And we do it this way. We use this clamp, tighten this up, and then it will get back inside of the caliper. And on the top I use the old brake pad, so I won't damage the piston, because otherwise if you damage the piston, it may not seal correctly anymore. I have a toolkit for this actually, but didn't bring it with me, so unfortunately I have to do it this way, but this will also work. You can see it will drive the piston in quite nicely. And now it bottomed out, so now it's correct. So before installing the new brake rotors, we need to make sure that they're clean, because from factory they come with a little bit of a lubrication film, and that's to make sure that they don't rust or corrode. Now we can place the rotor back on the hub and tighten it up with this new screw. The torque spec for these is 8 Nm. So currently the brake disc is fitted and This screw is torqued to 8 Newton meters. So now the next step will be to install the brake caliper mount, and those will be torqued to 200 Newton meters. The next thing we need to do is make sure that this mount is clean. Here it needs to be very clean because the brake pads will slide in and out over here. So it looks a lot better. It's not perfect, but the most important part is here where the brake pads will slide. We're going to slightly lubricate it, and after that we can install it. So now we can install the bracket back on the hub, and after that we will tighten it up to 200 Newton meters. Now we can torque down the two bolts to 200 Newton meters. So now that we have torqued these bolts to spec, we can install the brake pads. First we do the back side, connect the sensor, and then we can do the front side. And after that we can install the brake caliper itself. So now we can just slide in these brake pads. Now we can put in the front ones, just push it in. And the other side as well. Okay, now it's fitted. These look great in my honest opinion. Now we can connect the sensor. Make sure that it clips in correctly. Okay, that's it. We can also start putting on the centering ring for the rims. So place it on like that. So the next thing we will do is slide over the caliper and tighten it up to 30 Newton meters. So now we can slide the caliper in its place. We can tighten up these bolts. Now let's put the wheel back on. Now we'll slowly tighten these up. After that we will lower the car. And when the car is lowered, we will torque them to spec. Now we will jack up the car so we can remove the jack stands, and after that we can make sure we get this car back on its feet and torque the wheel bolts. So we completed the brake replacement, we replaced the rotors and pads, and it looks absolutely amazing. What's up guys, this is the first test drive after replacing the front brakes, and it drives pretty good. I can already tell that the brake pads have more bite, so whenever trying to brake you can tell it's a little bit more aggressive, and I actually like it that way. Except for my little friend over here. He thinks otherwise, he's not a big fan of it, but yeah, it drives pretty good.